Hello and welcome everybody to the VooPlayer Q&A weekly webinar call. We're just going to get started here in a minute, but before we do, if you will be kind enough just to confirm that you can hear my voice as well as see my screen before we get started, just type everything is okay in the chat box and then we can get started. Thank you. All righty, it seems like we're good. Hello, Dean. Hello, Marvin, William. Good to see you all. So looks like we have just a few more people joining. Hello and welcome everybody. This is the VooPlayer Q&A weekly webinar call where we take questions from users and answer them, as well as provide any additional training needed on advanced features, gather feedback on future improvements for VooPlayer, and also showcase any new things which we're working on. The format is pretty simple and straightforward, so at any time that you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat box, or also if you have any prepared questions, also feel free to put them in the chat box and we'll answer them in the order that they come in. Lately, we started getting some questions also in our Facebook group. So if that's the format that works for you, if you're not able to attend the webinar, just feel free to post a question on the Facebook group, and we'll gather that feedback and put it together as a question to be answered on the webinar. So great, and just a side note also, webinar replays will be posted always on the Facebook group as well as on our YouTube VooPlayer channel. All right, so let's get started here. Let me just check. No questions thus far. All right, so let's get into some of the new things about VooPlayer. So if you could turn your attention to the right-hand side of my screen where we have the account summary. So a couple of updates here are, and this is just also so you're aware, this is a release which is going to be pushed to production tomorrow or the day after. So these updates are not live yet, and you're just kind of seeing a preview of what's going to be rolled out in the next couple of days. So with regards to bandwidth, we've started getting a lot of heavy traffic users which are consuming terabytes of bandwidth, which brought up a question of management of them bandwidth and clarity of what's going on with it. So just so everybody's aware, we're going to be separating prepaid bandwidth from the regular license included bandwidth, and I think we're going to change the labeling there to say included rather than free bandwidth. So this is going to be the bandwidth which is included on your license, usually around 200 gigabytes, and below that we're going to have a separate counter for prepaid bandwidth, which is going to reflect all of your additional purchases of bandwidth which are being utilized. Just as a reminder for everybody, so each month, so tomorrow on February 1st, the included bandwidth resets, so that's kind of your monthly limit, whereas the prepaid bandwidth kicks in only once that's been used and starts being used up until you've used up all of your prepaid bandwidth. So in summation, we're just separating the visual display and tracking of included bandwidth versus prepaid bandwidth. Excuse me. So that's one thing. Second thing, also on the note of facilitating for some heavy users, power users, we like to call them, we've with all of that bandwidth, we've also needed to increase storage. So starting with the following release, the storage packages are going to be updated slightly. So I think by default you have 50 gigabytes of storage, and up until now you were only able to purchase 10 additional gigabytes of storage, which was a rather low amount. So if you went up into terabytes, that would require you to purchase 10 gigabytes a lot of times. So we're rolling out plans for 10 gigabytes, 50 gigabytes, 100 gigabytes, 500 gigabytes, and a terabyte of expansion packs for storage, and all of those are, of course, monthly subscriptions for renewing each month. So if you at this point need an additional terabyte, you can purchase it, and that's going to last for as long as your subscription is cycling on a monthly basis. And then if you don't need it anymore, then you can just cancel that subscription, and then it will roll back to your license included allocated storage. All right, so those are the couple of new things. Let's see. I had a question on Facebook, a few questions actually. So Josh is asking, can you show us how to style the overlay boxes to match our branding? Is custom CSS allowed to offer more style customizations? Yes, of course. So branding and matching the appearance of your website. I'm going to take that video. That's somebody else's video. Let me take this yellow video and we can work with that. So branding and matching the appearance of your brand on your videos is definitely one of the main features that we want to focus on VooPlayer. So aside from just changing the customizations of the appearance of the player, we also want to go pretty deep into allowing you to customize the appearance of all of the interactive elements on those videos. So let's say that's kind of my brand color palette, white, orange, and black. And here I have an SMS lock, for an example, which I can customize. So each overlay as well as each lock can be customized by visiting the Styles tab. So if, for example, on this one, I came here and I wanted to change it. So let's say that I want the background to be black, and let's keep the text as white, and I want the button to be a little bit more yellowish. Save it as that, and maybe the button text also to be black. Then I can kind of match the appearance of all those interactive elements with the appearance of the player. So with regards to overlays, that customization is it goes even further than that. So let me create one. So this is a simple overlay style, which could be considered as a pop-up. So, and that can be customized in the exact same way as I just did for the SMS lock. However, we have other styles available. So you can choose an annotation, and then in the annotation, you can of course customize the styling of it to your preference, but also you are able to include custom code and custom CSS as Josh asked to customize that. So if I came here and I, let's say, gave this a class name or something, so let's give this a class of demo, and then I wanted to specify that, so I'll just give it some style, and we'll say our demo is going to be, let me just move my mouse so I see what I'm doing there. Can say demo color needs to be red, for example, and just make sure. And so if I just switch back from that, then we can see that custom styling which I applied in the overlay content. So when you're customizing any content on a lock or an overlay through this WYSIWYG editor, you can always just jump it straight into the source mode, and from there you can customize pretty much anything via custom HTML and custom CSS, and also additionally with custom JavaScript. So basically anything that works on any web page can work on here. So if you have a full website that you want to pop into an overlay, you're able to do that. So that's one way of customizing it by fiddling with the custom source code of those elements. And of course, the other way is to manipulate some other things such as positioning and so on, which allow you for a little more customization on the elements themselves. All right, so the next question was, also I'd like to know if VooPlayer has capacity to replace Webinar Jam, Easy Webinar, or Livestorm when it comes to webinar funnels. Short answer would be no. So at least with webinar funnels, interesting way of putting that. So one way that VooPlayer kind of provides, let's call it a webinar functionality, is that it allows you to create a custom simulation of a webinar, which could be run on a particular date or on an evergreen campaign, like recurring every hour or every day, and so on and so on. So that's kind of the webinar functionality of VooPlayer, which just allows you to make your video look like it's being played live. However, when it comes to more elaborative systems such as Webinar Jam, Easy Webinar, Livestorm, etc., VooPlayer does not have the capacity for signups, follow-ups to those webinars, and so on and so on. So it will be used more like on a sales funnel or in some sort of a promotion where somebody comes on a page and you're like, hey, sign up for my webinar. Oh, look, what a coincidence. My webinar is starting in 5 minutes. So then they're just watching it there. As far as all of the other capacities of an elaborative webinar system, no, not necessarily. Well, VooPlayer does not have the capacity or the desire to replace those systems. They're well suited for their uses. Next question, can I separate client videos in folders, directories, subdirectories, or is a new license required for each client of my agency? So yes and no, but I would lean more towards yes. So if you, so here I have a couple of videos which are grouped. So I can group videos. So the way that I do that is when I'm creating new videos, let me just grab a YouTube link. This is an example. So this is our channel, and let's take the last week's webinar recording as our video. And so when I'm creating a video, I always have an option over here on the side to add a video to a group. So I can come over here and say add to a group and then select which group I want to group them with. So if I grouped all of them as my client names, then I could manage that much more easily by saying, hey, give me only videos which are grouped as 1, 3, etc., etc., etc. So that would give me a clear overview of what I want. Or alternatively, I could create a group for myself, and that will be easier to manage. Also worth mentioning there is that aside from the list view, which is a default view for previewing the videos on your dashboard, you are also able to jump directly into group view, which is just going to outline all of the videos allocated to each group. So if this was my client A and this was my client B, I will be able to recognize and manage their videos much more easily. And finally, it seems we have to manage client content because the interface is too difficult for them because they're not technical. And I don't think there's a simplified client dashboard for them to simply upload content and perform basic tasks. No, there is no such simplified dashboard to perform basic tasks, mainly because those basic tasks might not be basic tasks for others. So accommodating that sort of a custom need for somebody to accomplish something basic, quote unquote, is not something that we're able to suit. But however, we usually encourage advanced users who are more techy to develop their own dashboards and connect to VooPlayer functionality by leveraging the the API that we provide. So if you come over here to documentation and support and come to developer API reference, at the bottom you can see a couple of examples of how you can make requests to create videos. So you're able to build your own custom dashboards and then connect to the VooPlayer application via the application programming interface, and that way communicate, hey, create me a video that's named like this and has this sort of appearance, and so on and so on and so on. So we're always encouraging people who want those sort of custom dashboards and custom implementations for their clients to have a look at this and explore it a little bit, as well as to provide us with feedback, which might be useful on how we can continue to improve that. All right. Let's come back over here to the chat box and see. We have a question from BJ, who is asking, can you go over which VooPlayer features are available only when we upload video directly to VooPlayer as opposed to uploading to Dropbox, OneDrive, etc.? Sure. So I hope that I'm going to be able to give you a full overview of that. Well, the main feature out of all features is the ability to secure your videos. So if content security is important to you, the ability to prevent anybody from downloading your video when they're watching it on your web page, and that's indicated usually by this padlock over here, which says secured file, is restricted. Well, it's only capable for us to execute that on our own server. So the Secure My Video feature is available only when you upload videos. Otherwise, we're not able to guarantee protection of your content when it's streamed through VooPlayer. However, we strongly, we're pretty much very proud of this feature, because from all of the online players, we haven't seen anybody that stood the test as VooPlayer did with regards to being able to secure video content through this feature. So that's one major downfall of hosting videos externally, which basically means that anybody with a little bit of technical knowledge and some downloadable plugins, Chrome extensions, or external software would be able just to open up your web page and start downloading those videos. So that's one big advantage of the VooPlayer videos. Also, videos uploaded to VooPlayer. Also, only the videos who are uploaded directly to VooPlayer are being streamed over turbo bandwidth, meaning that regardless of where your video is, for example, if it's on Dropbox or OneDrive or Amazon, etc., some of those actually have their own cloud delivery network services. However, some others, like, I don't know, if you're uploading files to some servers and so on, and then linking to them from there, we're not able to play those files through our cloud delivery network. Rather than we're just streaming directly from a link which you provide, as that's the most direct access to the file. So that's one thing. So that's kind of before getting into the player editing features. So as far as the player editing features, there are some restrictions which force us to have the video on the same source as where it's being played from, meaning that we need to have the same server origin for the video source as well as for the player. And some of the things which I believe are restricted with that is the ability to use subtitles. So you're not able to use subtitles if the video is hosted somewhere externally. Also, I believe that there was one other, and I can't remember what it was, but if you give me a second, I'm sure that I might have to come back to that. But I believe subtitles are definitely one, and if I'm not mistaken, there was one other features which was restricted to. Oh yeah, of course, you're not able to host 360 videos anywhere else aside from VooPlayer. So if you want to utilize the 360 panoramic view for moving your videos around, then those videos also need to be on the VooPlayer server. I think that was the other one. There might be one or two, maybe more, but that should usually be indicated by saying, hey, since you are hosting this video elsewhere, so similar to subtitles, since you're hosting this video elsewhere, you can utilize this feature. So hopefully that answers that question. I can do a little bit more digging into this and a follow-up later on when we find out precisely. I think there might be one more, but I'm not too sure. I think we might have eliminated that. I think it was a feature which nobody was using, so we decided to exit. All right, so it's the questions from Facebook. Let me see. All right, so it seems like we've answered all of the questions, unless somebody else wants to chime in or has a concern which they would like to be addressed. Just let us know. Aside from that, we can, I believe, start wrapping this up for this week. Again, want to thank everybody who joined and who continues to join and continues to help us optimize and improve VoolPlayer in a lot of different ways with a lot of creative ideas, so that we're able to generate more value. Here's Marvin. Marvin is saying, what about the music stream feature that you mentioned in the last webinar? Will VoolPlayer have that feature anytime soon? Music stream feature. I don't necessarily remember the music stream feature. I remember us discussing the audio only feature, if that's what you're referring to. That's definitely something that we're recognizing a lot of potential in. As far as realizing that we usually have like one, not to get technical on it, but we have like one day separated usually where we kind of work on off priority features, sort of as just brain exercises more or less, and that's something that's fairly simple to execute, but it just, to be honest with you, it just kind of depends on when we're going to do that. But as far as giving you an estimate on that, I would say in the next month at least, we should start working on that idea. So the idea here was, and we've kind of started developing the idea a little bit, was to allow people, rather than just create videos, to upload a music file or link directly to a music file. And then how that would work is basically by default you would get a actually, I have an example of that. You would get just I think this might be it. You would get just a black screen video. You would not see anything. So it would just be a black video, and then you can customize it a little bit by adding some basic features to it, like put a image over this audio, or show like equalizer bars at the bottom for that audio being played, and so on and so on. The tricky part about that is that will be, as I said, that will be fairly simple to integrate. The tricky part is then customizing all of the controls and features to adapt to that, so that we're not leading to any confusion, like the ability to have 360 audio and so on and so on. So we would have to then go through a process of adjusting the settings and the features for audio only player. But yeah, again, it's definitely something that we see a lot of potential for, and a lot of people are asking about it, and it's not too difficult to execute. We're just going to need to set some time aside to facilitate that. So as a general estimate, I'll say in around a month that there should be first sort of indications of how we're going to execute that, so people are able to start testing it out publicly, and then we can gather some more feedback on that. All right, thank you for that question, Marvin. All right, let's see, no other questions. Okay, cool. All right, once more, thank you everybody for joining. Hopefully we'll see you next week, and hopefully we'll have a lot more exciting things to show you. And that's it for today. Thank you again for joining. Bye.